I'm John Bushy, and today I'm talking about, of course, the 7-ton. As always, a lot of my videos are about the 7-ton, the U.S. Marine Corps medium truck, they call it, but it's a really big truck. Today we're talking about brakes and replacing the brakes. And the aftermarket brakes are available. We got these at Fleet Pride. Seems to be a standard part that they stock. I didn't have any trouble at all getting 2 pairs of them. We're doing 2 sets of brakes. And so, yeah, very easy to get. We've already done this one. You can see the new brake shoes on there. It was kind of a pain in the butt. And this video, I'm telling you what we did. This is not advice about what you should do. You should proceed at your own risk. And in no way am I saying that this is the correct way to do it. Let's look at the old brakes. So over on this axle, we've got the old brakes, and there's still plenty of pad there. But these brakes got covered in oil because the seal that's back there failed. And so we took everything apart, took off the brake drum, of course. These are drum brakes, and they're S-cam, named because of this piece of metal right here that's shaped like an S, and that's how it activates the brakes. So one of our biggest problems was getting the old brakes off because of the springs. These springs are really, really strong springs, and it's hard to get them off. But what I did is I set up a jack stand here, and I used a vice grips to grab the spring, and then using this as a leverage point, I got a crowbar and stuck it in there and was able to lift up the spring and hook it on. The springs, this is not like most semis. Most semis have a spring that goes across here. So this plate, this is very unusual to have each spring connect to this plate. This plate will move. There's a control, an extension of the plate back here. So you can move that plate a little bit. I'm not sure how the Marines put those springs on there because they are under a lot of tension. But we were able to do it using this arrangement here with the vice grips. Before we started, of course, we needed to cage the brakes. These trucks, are never the way you want them, and things don't work. So to cage the brakes, you need a bolt, and the bolt is kept here, like this one. It's in there like that. Except this one, of course, was rusted and packed in there. We couldn't get it out. So I grabbed one of the bolts from one of the other axles, and so this is the genuine Marine Corps one, and it normally would fit into there and lock into position. But I couldn't find any nuts that fit this one, the Marine Corps one. And the Marine Corps likes to use weird stuff sometimes, I don't know why. So on Amazon, I ordered just a generic semi-truck brake bolt. And the problem we had with this one, even though it came with the nut, came with the washer, everything we needed, the head was a little bit too big. You can kind of see there. This is the Marine one. This is the one we got off Amazon. So in order to get this bolt to fit in here and lock into place, I had to take a grinder and grind this down a little bit so that it was closer to this size. And then it would fit in there, it would lock into position, and then we could pull the brakes so that they were off. So that's what I had to do with all this stuff. Seems like hardly any of these are any good. So just buy some on Amazon. Now, as long as I'm here, let me show you the automatic brake adjuster too. So the automatic brake adjuster is kind of hidden. It's back in there. This is the brakes are over here. And so you can see the rod. This is the operating rod coming off the air cylinder. And down here then is the automatic brake adjuster. I tried to find a part number on that thing and I wasn't able to find it, but I did find that I found enough instructions to figure out what's going on. This one's a simpler one, which I like. Normally, if you're going to adjust the automatic brake adjuster, the tensioner, you need two tools. You need a tool to turn a bolt, or it's kind of a weird shaped bolt, so you need special tools, of course, on a semi truck. And then you have to lift a cam with another special tool, and so you need two special tools. In this case, I figured out you only need one tool, and it's a standard 7/16. So you put a 7/16 on that, and then you can turn it clockwise or counterclockwise to adjust the S-cam on the brakes. And that gives you even more room when you're trying to work on the brakes. You also, if you would replace brake pads that are pretty thin, then chances are the brake pads have worn down quite a bit. And so the automatic adjuster now is trying to keep the brakes, down here. If you put on new brakes that are a lot thicker, then you need to go back there and adjust that automatic brake adjuster to give you more room between the brake pads and the brake drum so that the new brakes will fit. And again, when you turn that brake adjuster, the automatic brake adjuster, that 7/16, it turns this S-cam so that these fit in there better, and therefore the brakes squeeze together more. So that's what the brake adjuster does, and it's important to know that. Okay, so now it's time to put another spring on. I talked about those two springs there that hold that side of the brake shoe to get off. Now we need to put these springs on this side. There's one here and there's one over here. I only bought one special tool to do this whole brake job, and the special tool is the one to hook this spring in here. And I don't think it works very good, but I had to grind it down to make this a lot smaller. It doesn't fit in here if it's fat, and so I bought this special tool and then I modified it. The whole idea is the spring fits here and here, and then it leaves just a little bit here of the spring sticking out so you can put it into that hole. So you hook the top part up there, then use this tool to spread the spring and hook it into that bottom hole. Now it doesn't go all the way very well, so then what I found is you take a hammer and you tap it in a little bit more just to get some extra spring stuck into that hole. Then you have to remove this tool, and be careful, boy. You can see the spring's already starting to come out, so maybe I'll tap it in there a little bit more. You have to be careful because that spring might pop out of there. It's held in there just a little bit. There. It snapped in. Now I can remove the tool. I already did the spring on the back. So that's how to install the springs on this end of the brake. And speaking of springs, there's one more thing I need to show you. Yeah, so when you buy the box, it comes with a new bag, or a bag of new parts. And so you get S-cam. There's also retainers that keep these in place. New ones come in the bag. And of course it includes these two brown springs that go at this end. It does include a new spring for over here. And it looks like this. And this is normally what a semi-truck would have. It would have these springs. And they just connect from the lower to the upper shoe. But I tried to put this one on. And it sort of works, but it runs into these extra parts. And so what I had to do, I threw this one away. And I just reused the old springs because in this case, on the 7 tons, they don't use a regular semi setup. These springs hook onto this O-shaped bar, and so I had to reuse those. But a lot of things come with the brakes. Like I said, these two rollers on the S-cam, that comes, the retainers, and these springs all come. And I compared the rollers and the springs to the ones that came off, and they look like they're all identical. So, oh, and one more thing I could mention is this down here. So what we did is, when you put these back brakes on, or the back springs, it helps the lower shoe hold on, but not very much. The lower shoe still wants to always fall off. So I just put this down here, a jack stand with a crowbar on there, and that way it helps keep this lower shoe into place while we're putting the springs in. And that's about it. That's what we did to replace the springs. The couple steps that are left, we're going to finish. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning, this whole process is made a lot easier because we removed the hub. Otherwise, it's really hard to get in here. The tolerances are so close. And so for us, it was easier to just remove everything. We needed to replace the seal back there anyway. Boy, if you don't take the hub off, I don't know how you'd get to everything in here that you need to get to. So later we'll put everything back together. We'll put the brake drum back on, and then we need to adjust that brake adjuster again. And there's instructions online on how to do that. It's the same as the semi. And then, of course, we need to uncage the brakes so that they'll start working again. But that's what we did to replace the brakes. Luckily, like I said, it's a standard part number. Boy, that helps a lot because so many of the parts on this truck are special for this truck. But the brakes are just standard. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.